Hi everyone, it's Dr. Nicole from ProFunction Healthcare Team and Sports Injury Clinic. We hope everyone is doing well. I know if I'm not one of your practitioners specifically, we know that all of us at the ProFunction team are thinking about all of our patients and hoping that everyone is doing well. We wanted to be able to find different ways to be able to reach out to you, hopefully give you some tools that will help and assist and keep you moving and feeling better. A lot of what we represent at ProFunction are practitioners that try to educate, strengthen, and empower our patients to be able to move independently and not require our care all the time. So hopefully this is a way that we can be able to continue to extend those messages and give you some tools to be able to be pain-free and move well. One of the things that I want to talk about today, moving into week 3 of social isolation, is what can we do with our home office setup. Now, I know not everyone is working from home, but I imagine from practicing social distancing, you may find yourself on the internet or on your computer kind of longer than expected for certain times. So we want to be able to assess and give you some tools to make sure the positioning that you're in when you are working from home or having sustained time of using your office or your computer isn't helping to provide more strain on the back or the neck or upper extremity in that way. The best kind of thing that you can do to keep yourself from getting those aches, pains, and strains is to be able to practice what we call micro breaks. So that's every 20 minutes or so, getting up from that sustained position, moving around, walking around, even if it's just for 15 to 30 seconds, opening up kind of the chest into a nice stretch position, kind of the opposite of what we would be doing in the office posture. Other things as well is if you're doing Zoom meetings or having prolonged calls, then perhaps doing that from a standing position. I know that it's not likely that a lot of us are going to have those sit-stand options for our desks at home, but hopefully the flexibility in our schedules working from home will allow us to get up and move around a little bit more often. So the first thing we want to take a look at, and again, I'm just giving you a few summary tools. There's a lot of information, full research journals that are devoted specifically to ergonomics, and this is just going to give you kind of the synopsis of a few things that you can easily do at home. I do ergonomic assessments for other companies where we get more specific and precise measurements, but this will just be enough to give you a few things to work on your own. So the first thing we want to take a look at is our chair. So the best kind of chair is the one that you get out of the most. Again, we want to be productive, but if we don't sit in a chair all the time, then it won't tend to hurt as much. But in terms of the factors that we can look at for our chair, I'll tilt this over a bit here, is we want a chair that has a lot of different factors that we can move. So this, unfortunately, is not a great chair. It may look like a somewhat decent chair, but really it has no ability for the arms to move. The back doesn't have a change in incline. It's not necessarily a breathable material through the back. It does have a bit of a tilt where you can determine kind of the angle of the seat pan. But it's not the best, so we just don't sit in it for prolonged periods of time. So for kind of the angle that or the height that we want these arms to sit at, we want to be able to comfortably set our arms just where the elbows would bend at 90 degrees. So you can see for me that there's quite a distance in between that arm or my own arm and where the arm of the chair comes. That would be fine if I did have a tray for the keyboard here, but for this desk right now, I do not. So you could think of possibly elevating the entire chair itself so it came a little bit higher, or even just doing things where, you know, if you've got a bit of a towel that you can kind of provide your own little armrests there, maybe just like duct tape them to the armrest there. Again, we're just whatever DIY options that we have here. I use this little towel just behind my back just to give myself a little bit of lumbar support. It's not necessary, but it's something there, and it's easy to be able to do if that gives you a little bit of comfort and takes a bit of pressure off the back in that way. So if I tilt this back here, so when we're looking at our office setup in terms of our keyboard, let's sit there. we want to be able to have, as I said, the arms rest comfortably, so then our shoulders and our neck are kind of holding the arms elevated in that position. And we want a somewhat neutral position. We don't necessarily need full rotation inwards or outwards in that way, but enough that's something that's comfortable. Another option too, especially if you're working with a laptop, we just got off Amazon just a really inexpensive $30 wireless keyboard and mouse. Just then that way we're not, here I'll show you. You're not in this position in your laptop constantly where you're forward, which I know that when I am at the office that I can be guilty of for sure. But it's just if we have the options to set things up, and it's the risk is and reward is good enough to be able to purchase a wireless keyboard, it's definitely something that that can help out. Okay, when we take a look at the monitors, I'm just going to move this over a little bit here. You can just see I've got my laptop monitor here, and then I've got an actual other monitor here behind me. When we look at the actual height of where we want the monitors, this one is a little bit more ideal because the top of my field of vision is just coming to the top of where the monitor sits. Again, with the laptop, although it's great and it's portable, you'll find yourself with that little bit forward head tilt position, which can cause a little bit of strain just on the back part of the neck in that area. So if possible, sometimes I've just recommended people, if they have larger books, like textbooks or things like that they can just use that as a riser to elevate their monitors without having to get a full stand. This is another option here. Not the laptop itself, but underneath of that, we have a laptop stand too, so that you can be able to set that a bit higher and then kind of change the angle to which is most desirable for you for kind of your screen angle that way. Then in terms of how close you need to be or how far you need to be from your monitor, the general rule is that you want to be about an arm's length away. Again, everything that speaks to the T-Rex position of our monitor being like this, essentially we want to open up the shoulders, open up the chest in that way and find kind of a neutral position to be able to sit. So as I said, the best options that we're looking at overall is to be able to get up and move every 20 minutes. And that may or may not be possible depending on what your work conditions are. But as much as you can to be able to keep yourself moving, give yourself a few stretches, open up kind of the chest, work on some deep breathing in that way to be able to do the opposite of this. I know that there's lots of people then have signed up for exercise programs like Peloton and they're doing, cycle classes after, but just pay attention to the fact if you've just spent 8 hours like this, if you're going to spend the next, 60 to 90 minutes in this position as well, do something that opens things up a little bit in that way. This by no means is meant to supplement any medical advice that you may require. We are available to connect with you either over the phone, and we do have virtual appointments available, and you can book them at profunction.ca. It'll show you just all the virtual bookings. It's very easy to set up, nothing specifically that you need to be able to download, and majority of the times it's available for insurance billing as well. So we're open and we're welcome to be able to connect with you in whatever way we can. So we just thank you kind of for connecting with us, and feel free to connect with us via email at info@profunction.ca or touch base with us for a virtual appointment. All right, take care.